In 2017, Murray wondered if and when his bad year would ever end. On our previous visit, we'd seen a home filled with the furniture, homeware and lighting which his business is built on. But in a tough year for retail, he also suffered. And when a lot of people were worrying about losing the roof over their heads, he literally lost his and the rest of the house with it.
Murray, you've done such an amazing job. I can't believe this was a pile of rubble.
Yeah, it was a very hard year for me. Basically what happened was I had a bunch of friends over for my birthday, and we had a big party here. It was really, really cold. We had all the fires going. We put the fires out and then all went to bed, and I woke up in my usual fashion at like 5 in the morning to make coffee. And as I walked upstairs, the roof was on fire between the pillars. So I ran downstairs to my partner Dustin and told him to get up and take the dogs outside. And I got a fire extinguisher, came up and tried to put the fire out, but it didn't put out. And I called the fire brigade. So about 3 trucks came and they tried to fight the fire for 13 hours. But the fire department said to me, he said, your house is going to burn down. So they fought it, but unfortunately everything was lost. And so basically all that we managed to get out was the dogs and my passport.
That's absolutely devastating. What's incredible though is that you managed to rebuild this within 6 months.
So first of all, it took about 3.5 months to knock the house down and to clear the site away. But then, when we started from start to finish, Gus did an amazing job and he built it in 6 months, which is, I think, a record.
Architect Gustavo Norambuena was central to this phoenix of a home being reborn.
Gus, it's lovely to meet you. I believe you're the man responsible for the rebuild.
Yes, I met Murray and I told him what it is that I could offer him in terms of assisting with renovating and restoring the property back to what it could be or what it originally was. We then came in, did our initial site inspections and then determined how to move forward and where it is that we wanted to end up.
Murray, what was the brief that you gave Gus?
The most important thing to me for the house was that we kept the same shape, look and feel, apart from obviously changing the thatch roof into tin. I wanted to keep it that the whole house opened out onto the garden. I wanted to change the 5 bedrooms into 4 bigger bedrooms and have them all en suite. And before, we had a smaller herb garden out the back here, out the kitchen, and I wanted to make it bigger, more formal, and kind of lighter and brighter. So with the kitchen, for example, we needed to make a lot more light come into the house, and so we put a big apex gable window in.
How did you execute this?
Firstly, with Murray understanding exactly what it is that he wanted, it made a big difference because it gives you direction in which to go in. There were also lovely images from the original home, so it was easy to look at the home and see the changes that we wanted to make and then adjust how we wanted to develop, if we wanted more light, if we wanted to have more open, spacious, flowing or functional feeling.
Much like the look and feel of the kitchen. Murray, you studied to be a chef and you keep the hobby very much alive. Would it be safe to say that this was a very important space and perhaps your favorite?
Definitely my favorite part in the house. A kitchen is where you all congregate, and that's the social aspect of it. I also wanted the kitchen to be very much open plan and a little bit more modern than it was before. So I wanted to keep open shelves, very rustic counters, concrete counters, and then bring in, to make it a little bit more modern, to bring in some kind of marble or granite top.
Both a sentimental and practical choice, the reclaimed oak beam from the original house gave Murray the chance to create a spider light over his kitchen work counter. The combination of the rustic cut and weight of the wood with the burnished antique LED lights sets the tone for the entire space.
Well, I see your guests won't be going thirsty.
I know, we've got a normal bar, a gin bar, and a whiskey bar. And that gin bar, actually, I asked Gus to do copper cladding on the wall. I simply showed him a photograph, and that's what he created. And this is the first formal lounge. Because of the size of the room, I wanted to get a Chesterfield design sofa made extra large to fit the size of the room, and I wanted to keep like a natural organic feel that comes through. So we've got natural carpets that I actually had made in Zimbabwe, and then big chunky pieces of furniture to complement it.
When it came to the interiors, who chose all the pieces and how does it reflect your personality?
From the travels that I've been on around the world, I've often found furniture pieces that I love, and I almost keep them in a bit of a memory bank. So I've had all the pieces specifically made, but it was very important that they were kept very, very comfortable and that the monotone of the fabrics and the colors came through.
Gus, what would you say is the most important feature piece here?
Well, with the scale of the home being large, furniture being large, the fireplace, hearth and chimney needed to be rebuilt. So we rebuilt it in a clay stock brick, semi-face clay stock brick. So it looks natural and it divides the formal and the informal lounges.
Murray, I have to say you are incredibly brave. I have noticed 2 fireplaces within a few meters of each other.
There's actually 7 fireplaces in the house because I think it's very important that fireplaces add to a homely, warmly feel. And so I've incorporated fireplaces throughout the bedrooms as well.
You are absolutely crazy. This I've got to see.
Adding to the sense of breathing room, Murray's gone for light tones on the walls, white ceilings, and to animate these open spaces, a parade of copper pendants.
Before, the lights were actually these rusted old buckets that used to hang from the ceiling, and now I've done more modern lights, which are almost like a pencil design.
Interestingly, throughout the house, the lighting is actually designed to tie in with the roofing. So not only does it provide its light, but aesthetically, the roofing, the trusses, all of that brings more light into the home.
As well as art and sentimental pieces, Murray lost the books he'd collected over 20 years. But once he'd rebuilt his bookshelves, friends and family offered scores of old classics to fill them. With the scale of the house, oversized fittings and furniture had to be made both locally and in India and Indonesia. The rebuild was seen as a series of opportunities.
Even the closet opens out into the garden.
Our idea was to actually have it much bigger and more open so that the doors open out into the garden to make it lighter and brighter.
Oh, clever.
Gus's idea.
Wow, I feel like I'm at a resort. It's like I'm on holiday.
Yes, well, part of the brief was to try and incorporate as much of the natural setting as we possibly could. So, being the main bedroom facing the garden, we opened up, created very large stacking doors so you can have a panoramic view of the garden and feel as, like you say, you are sitting in a luxury resort.
Part of my lifestyle is I love being in the bush, and this bedroom depicts that. I mean, it feels like you're sleeping in the middle of the bush. Everything opens out onto it.
This bathroom's also incredibly extravagant.
Some of the bars survived the fire, and that's where actually Gus came and took the bars away and had them remodeled and he had them coppered.
Yes, the fire did its damage, but the baths were quite sturdy and lent themselves to being refurbished, and it was something that was quite close to Murray's vision for the bathrooms, was to reinstate them. So we managed to find a supplier that was able to refurbish them up to an immaculate state, so they really have an impact in their settings.
As a nature girl myself, I think it's time for the tour of the inside of the house to come to an end. I would love to go and enjoy this beautiful garden of yours. This garden is so luscious. Is this a passion of yours?
Absolutely, it's the reason why I rebuilt. It really is my inspiration for this house, because you feel like the house is nestled in this garden. One of the most important things was also to keep it as indigenous as possible. So I had the lawn kind of weaving through these natural grasses. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely darker before, and Gus has put lights around the whole garden. He's put lights in the trees all the way down the driveway, so it really has lightened up the garden so you can use it at night.
What were some of the challenges when you built this dream home?
Well, the largest challenge and the single biggest challenge was probably the roofing. With the home originally being built 30 to 40 years ago, it had a natural curve to the layout. So we had to adjust the roofing design to suit. So it wasn't just a matter of follow a design and make it work. So it was literally a day-by-day step where we would assess where we were and how we were going to move forward and try and still achieve that same aesthetic feature that we were looking for.
And for you, Murray?
I think for me the biggest challenge was to get my head around what to do with the house next, because I didn't know if I wanted to rebuild the house how it was or to make it smaller, but when we looked at the costs of taking away some of the foundation and reducing that, it actually worked out to a lot more expensive, so we went with the existing structure.
There's so many wonderful sections to enjoy your garden, but I see you've set up right over there by the boma. Shall we cheers to a job well
Yes,
done?
absolutely. Come have a drink.
There are no less than 5 outdoor dining spaces for Chef Murray to entertain. The koi pond is more structured, and the boma shows his appetite for big gatherings is undiminished.
Murray, thank you so much for having us again. It has been a wonderful day.
Hopefully it won't be another burned down house before you have to come back again.
Yes, cheers.
Cheers.
Most importantly, they survived the fire. And for the 2 people and 5 dogs who live here, life is looking up.